So good morning, everyone. I'm gonna give it a couple of minutes just so we have other participants that can log in. Let's give it a couple more minutes. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and get started. So good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for today's webinar based on CSUF Student Wellness and Services. The Outreach and Recruitment Department have been working diligently with our campus partners to provide you resources and information to help you best prepare for your new exciting journey at Cal State Fullerton. Please continue to visit our website at fullerton.edu/welcome day for upcoming webinar information. Next week on Friday, the 12th at 11 a.m., we actually have another webinar. It's based on library IT services presented by the CSUF library staff. Before we get started today with today's presentation, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Vanessa Lewis, and I'm an Outreach and Recruitment Counselor. And I'm here with some other staff members as well. And as they're presenting, we will do our best to communicate through the Q&A function because we cannot see or hear you. So the Q&A function is the best resource to use. And if you go down to your Zoom, on the bottom of the page, you can see that function. The representatives that will be presenting and the Outreach and Recruitment staff will be utilizing that Q&A. Also, please bear with us if we run into any technical difficulties. We would do our best to keep the webinar running smoothly. And without further ado, I'm going to go to the next slide and show you where you can find the link. This is actually a QR code that leads you directly to the Welcome Day website. And this is where all of our event information, next steps, virtual tours, and webinars. If you go under webinars, that's where we find all the registration links for the next webinars coming up. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce, and Suzanne can take over for health services and Titan Well.
Hello, my name is Suzanne Knudsen. I'm a nurse practitioner in student wellness. I work in the health center. And I want to just explain that student wellness is a three-tiered model looking at the health center, combining the counseling and psychological services, as well as Titan Well or health promotion services. We're here to help you succeed. So let me explain, next slide. We're here to provide health services. So a lot of times students don't even know we're on campus. We're on the north side of campus, across from the soccer fields, over by the dorms, north of the library. And our health services provide full services just like your doctor's office, any kind of medical clinic offering, acute illnesses, any physical exams that you may need for employment, or if you're going to study somewhere and you need an employment physical. We do minor surgical procedures in the clinic. We also offer vaccines. All of these are free or low cost, and usually you can get a same day or next day appointment. We do also have a physical therapy and sports rehab department that is right next door to our building. We have full x-ray in the building. We also have lab, so you can have lab drawn for either free or at low cost. You'll be informed of any costs that may be incurred in your visit. We also have a full pharmacy on site with 2 pharmacists. Sometimes we can fill prescriptions that you're bringing in from the outside, or we can send prescriptions to your local pharmacy, whatever your option you want to use. There are charges for those, for using the pharmacy. We also have some specialty care that comes into the clinic. We have optometry that comes in 1 afternoon a week at a low cost, as well as we also have chiropractic, and that's about $10 per visit. We are an accredited facility. We have 3 physicians and 4 nurse practitioners. We're all board certified to provide these services to you. Next slide. Next slide. Yeah, okay, our health insurance, there is a health fee that is included in your student fees that allow you to come into the health center for free. We do let you know what those charges are, but that's what that health fee covers. If you have insurance on the outside, we strongly encourage you to maintain that. It is not required. We also have links to Covered California on our website. It is strongly encouraged if you have your own insurance to maintain it. And it's not so much for us because we don't bill insurance, but because we want you to have that should you need urgent care or emergency services or specialty services. So you'd want to maintain that. Next slide. Utilizing our services are pretty straightforward. You can make an appointment. Right now it's a little bit different. We usually have in person, but you will call in right now because of the pandemic. So we're not doing online or in person right now, but I will show you in a minute how to do the online. We do have a website, so go ahead and look at that at fullerton.edu/student wellness. You're always welcome to call in. Currently we are open 9 to 1 for the next week, and then the following week we're open much later. So the normal 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. We are not here after hours or on weekends, but there are resources off campus. Urgent care and ERs are where you would utilize services. Going online or calling in has the convenience of you can see the same provider every time you come in. You can pick the time that you want to be seen. And currently we are doing telehealth visits, so you can call in, talk to a provider, and hopefully we can prevent you from having to come into the health center. Next slide. Making an appointment's pretty straightforward. If you go on to that student wellness site, that highlighted little yellow area on the slide here shows how to make an appointment. Go ahead and move to the next slide. You would click that and it would bring you to the Titan portal. And this is where you would log in and either schedule your appointment. You would get messages from us. You will get lab results. But this would be how you would make an appointment when it's available online. Go ahead and move to the next slide. We will be having flu clinics in the fall. That is still to be arranged, but they will be free to all students. So just look for upcoming information on where the locations will be on campus and what the dates will be, usually in October. Next slide. We also do require immunizations and screenings. These are mandates through the Chancellor's office. So we encourage you to get your immunizations for your measles, mumps, rubella, hepatitis B, the chickenpox vaccine, the Tdap or the tetanus, the meningococcal vaccine, and there often is a tuberculin screening. Not always that you need to have a test. These are mandated by the Chancellor's office. So if you have those records, just keep them available to you so that you can bring them into us. In the near future, we'll be implementing a system where you can upload that for us. But I want you to be aware of these immunizations because we want you to stay healthy on campus. And a lot of these are communicable diseases. A lot of them are ones that you have had at a younger age, but just check with your primary care doctor if you're up to date with these vaccines. Next slide. So moving on, Titan Well is another pillar of our health services and student wellness, and it's our health promotion department. We have health educators that are trained to do various either in-person appointment, or right now it's phone consultations, or drop-in programming. They do workshops for nutrition. We do a big well fest every year, so we'll hopefully have that on board. They do individual appointments for nutrition, sexual health, AMOD, which is alcohol, marijuana, and other drugs, as well as we have peer health educators. So this is a big portion of our team that helps supplement the services to you. Next slide. So we are fortunate to have a full-time registered dietitian on staff, and he offers workshops on healthy eating, whether it's on a budget or as a busy student, or if you're an athlete or working out, how to meet your nutritional needs. He does one-on-one consultations for lots of different reasons, whether it just be you want to be eating more healthy, you've got some gastrointestinal issues, eating disorders, food allergies. Great services. So look forward to utilizing his services for that registered dietitian. Next slide. Sexual health resources are also available to you. We work from a risk reduction education platform. We do have a program in the health center that is set up by the state of California called Family Pact. We encourage students to see if they're qualified for that. You do have to enroll in it. If you're able to qualify for the California Family Pact program, sexual health services are free. They are actually billed through that Family Pact program. Otherwise, if you're not eligible for those, there are free condoms. We do STI testing for a reduced cost, pregnancy testing, any kind of reproductive health or sexual health needs can be done in the health center. Next slide. There also is a educator that works on alcohol, marijuana, and other drugs. We know that Titans are very academically successful, and they're not partiers, but if you have, and are responsible with their drinking, but if you have any concerns or need some help with any issues, we do have a counselor available with lots of resources. We do workshops for any drug-related issues that you're concerned for, or if there's any sanctioning that goes on. Next slide. Lastly, Cal State Fullerton is proud to say that we were the first CSU to go smoke-free. We are smoke-free, vape-free. Basically, we're a smoke-free campus in all areas on campus, parking lots, vehicles, everything. If you're a smoker, we encourage you to reach out to us. We have lots of resources on campus for smoking cessation services and resources. Next slide. The Titan Well Hut, unfortunately, is on hold, but this is a really fun pop-up hut that shares information every week at different points on campus. Our peer health educators come out. They have a new topic every week. They're out there 4 days a week offering fun games, some free swag. Follow us on Instagram at Titan Well, and check us out in the spring. This is a really fun way to find out different things that are going on in campus regarding student wellness. Next slide. And that pretty much ends the student wellness presentation for the health services and Titan Well. Any questions?
Yes, we do have a couple questions. One, it says, do we have, and this is for you, Suzanne, do we have to provide our immunizations record to confirm our enrollment on campus in fall 2020 and spring 2021, like how the UC system does?
Right now, the answer is no. We're doing a soft rollout on that. The formal mandate doesn't go into effect till next year. If you have that information, if you come into the clinic, just bring it with you and we can upload it for you. We're in the process of getting there, but it's strongly encouraged that you just be sure those are up to date.
And I think a second part of the question is, do you help with immunizations like whooping cough shot and annual flu shot?
The flu shots will be free. We just don't have the date for flu clinics yet. And we do have the Tdap, which is a whooping cough vaccine. There is a charge for that vaccine, so you can either obtain it here or you could obtain it with your primary care doctor if you have one.
Awesome. And then one more or two more questions just for you really quickly. Do we upload the PDF format and we'll get a confirmation email if we receive it on your end?
That's still a soft rollout right now, so that is not happening yet.
Okay. And then the last question, for the services, are they based on HIPAA requirements?
Yes, we do practice HIPAA. Confidentiality is strongly followed here at the health center. Nobody can call in and ask if you were here.
Thank you. That's it for the Q&A, and I'm going to hand it over to Megan and Alex.
All right, I'm having a few technical difficulties, so apologies if I disappear. My name is Megan Bonning. I am a licensed therapist at CAPS. Alex, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Good morning. My name is Alex Osorio. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and I serve as a case manager and counselor at CAPS.
Cool. So we know that any major life transition is going to bring about its own set of unique challenges and circumstances. So whether it's your first time at college, whether you're transferring in, whether you're still living at home or venturing out on your own, that transition and the transition into like adulting can be really difficult sometimes. So the same way that the health center takes care of you from a mind-body standpoint, CAPS wants to kind of supplement from the mental health standpoint. So counseling and psychological services is also covered by your health fee, and you will become eligible for that as soon as the fall semester starts. Next slide. So a little bit about our staff. We have a really diverse staff. We've got several psychologists, several licensed marriage and family therapists. We've got a couple of licensed clinical social workers, psychiatry team, and we're also a training center. So we've got interns that are still going through their doctoral programs, and being able to have this experience in a college counseling center is very valuable to them and also to our students. Also, we have staff from a very diverse cultural and ethnic background, which is one of the best tools that we can use to serve you, because we've really got a lot of different perspectives at CAPS. Next slide. So a couple of just stats about why this is important, why we take college mental health in particular so seriously. 1 in 4 US college students has a diagnosable mental health condition. That doesn't necessarily mean that your life is being debilitated in some way or anything like that. Maybe you've managed it very well, but statistically speaking, college students do have a high rate of mental health challenges. And that's why we at CAPS take this very seriously, and we want to be as available to you as possible. My screen is absolutely tiny, so I can barely read this right now. But the other thing that I really wanted to highlight was that about half of college students, if you ask them how their mental health was, they would say it's either below average or poor. So we really want to encourage you, if you start to kind of feel that way, where you're kind of questioning, is this normal? Should I be feeling like this? Maybe I should reach out for help. Go ahead and call us up, because only about 60% of students that perceive themselves to be struggling will actually reach out to the help that's already on campus for them. I did my graduate work at Cal State Fullerton, and a huge number of students that I interacted with while I was a student had no idea that the health center was there and had no idea that CAPS was there to support them. This is a free service that we provide for you. There's no additional fee to get mental health counseling. And that's a heck of a deal when you're a college student, because once you get out and have to pay out of pocket for it, it's actually quite expensive. So we would encourage you to use these tools. Common challenges new students face, whether this is your first semester of college or you're transferring in, there comes a large set of academic challenges. It's not the same as high school. It's not quite the same as community colleges. There's social changes. We have such a huge university with like 40,000 students. It's a really big shift to go to a school this big. Anytime we have major life changes that involve some stress, maybe some changing relationships, maybe kind of taking a deeper dive inward and seeing who we are as people and kind of realigning personal values, self-esteem, confidence. So there's a lot of like moving parts that comes about in these college years. So the common issues that we typically see are having to do with mood difficulties. We see a lot of people with symptoms of depression or sadness. We work with a lot of anxiety and stress. We help people to cope in a healthier way. We can even help through big life events like trauma, whether it's recent or from the past, coping with world events, dealing with racism and racist events, any sort of death or grieving, bereavement. We see a lot of that. We also deal with just kind of everyday concerns, whether your relationship with your body or food is difficult. Maybe you have difficulty with confidence or self-esteem, perfectionism. Maybe it's just as simple as wanting to take better care of yourself, but not really being sure how to start, or any sort of family issues that you want to deal with. That's just a sampling too. Basically anything that you have, we want to help you with. So if you're kind of listening to this right now and you're like, I don't really know if this is me or not, if you can relate to one of these little memes that we found here about mental health, chances are you might benefit from talking to somebody. And if we're being honest, yeah, I think we can all relate to at least some of these, right?
All right, thank you, Megan. So I'm going to review some of the services that we offer at CAPS. Again, these are all covered by your student health fee that you pay every semester. So first of all, counseling services. So the model that we use at CAPS is the short-term individual counseling model. So that means that our students get an average of 4 to 6 sessions. In order to start counseling, right now what we're doing over the summer and through the fall, it may change, but we're doing an initial consultation. So if you wanted to make an appointment for counseling, you would call the CAPS, and we'll show them the number a little later, and you ask for an initial consultation. In that consultation, we'll do like a short assessment to determine your needs and to determine whether your current needs can be met in a short-term counseling model, or if we need to maybe refer you out for more long-term counseling, either insurance, or we do have a lot of low-cost options in the community that we can also connect you to, anywhere from $5 per session, $15 per session to free. We have a couple of community partners that offer free counseling as well. So in addition to the counseling, we also offer group counseling. That changes every semester. So every semester our providers decide they want to do a group, and they decide on the topic. We kind of take a look at what might be the need for that semester. So they change. So this past semester, I know we had a group for students that identify as LGBTQ+. We had a group for self-care, for grieving. We had a group for self-esteem and confidence. So every semester we're going to have different types of groups. For the groups, you do have to do a group screening. So you set up an appointment with the therapist who's going to be running the group, just to make sure that the group is a good fit for you and it is going to be offering what you're looking for. We also offer psychiatric consultations. So we have a psychiatrist and we have a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner. So what they do is they consult with students about psychotropic medications. So if you're currently taking medication for anxiety, depression, hyperactivity, you can consult with our providers and see if maybe you need a dosage change or if you want to change the medication. And if you're not taking medication, you may want to explore medication options that may be able to help you with your mood, with anxiety, things like that. And I want to just tell students, because I remind students this all the time, that just because you're going to meet with these providers doesn't mean that you're going to have to take medication. But it can just be, when I'm working with a student, I refer them just so they can have a conversation with the provider and see if there are some options for medication that may help them with in addition to counseling, may help them with their symptoms. Then they can decide for themselves, after speaking with the provider, whether they do want to move forward with taking the medication or not. So it doesn't mean that because you're going to see these providers, you're going to start taking medication. And I think that's important to remind students. Then there's case management services. So I'm one of the 2 case managers. So what that is we help you connect to resources outside in the community as well. So I help students connect to financial assistance programs, learning how to budget, learning how to manage your money with your partner or with your family members. I connect students to any resources for finding food, housing programs, support groups in the community. I mean, a variety of things. Whatever we don't have at CAPS or on campus, you can come to our case managers and we can help you find resources in the community that we do not offer. Let's see. And one of the key things that we do is when we determine that you might be better fit to go, or your needs may be better met going through your insurance for counseling, we sit down with you and we call your insurance, we determine your benefits, whether you have a copay, a deductible, and then we help you get referrals through your insurance, and we even help you make those calls to those providers, and we stick with you until you get your first appointment and you like it and you're ready to go. Solomon and I, Solomon's the other case manager, we stick with you until we're able to connect you to counseling off campus if that's something you decide to do. Other resources that we offer are wellness workshops. So we offer these wellness workshops a couple times a week. And I know this last semester they were ran by our doctoral interns. So the topics that we cover are stress, mood, and thoughts. So these workshops are about an hour, I believe, and they're just drop-in. You just look at our schedule on our website and you see which one fits your schedule. And like I said, they happen almost every day of the week. And you just show up and for the workshop. We provide you with a handout. And these handouts are also on our website. So if you go to our CAPS website and you look under wellness programs and then wellness workshops, you'll see that packet that we hand out for each of those workshops. So if you want to go take a look at that now, you can find that there. And then we also do outreaches. So we go out to campus, to the university, and we do workshops for student groups, for clubs, for professors that want us to come talk to their students. For faculty, we do trainings on anything from test anxiety, how to cope with stress, suicide, how to identify whether one of your friends or classmates may have suicidal ideation and how to help them. I've done trainings on anxiety just in general. So we do a lot of that, a lot of workshops for our students and our faculty and staff. We also do a lot of tabling events. I know last summer around this time we were out there doing a lot of orientation events, and we educated students on these resources that we have. So I'm happy that we're here today and we're able to do it at least via Zoom to educate our incoming students of the resources that we have available at CAPS. And we also, we all have a liaisonship, most of us. So that means that we are like the liaison for a specific group on campus. For example, myself, I'm the liaison for the Center for Scholars. I know we have a liaison for the African American Resource Center. We have liaisons for we're actually going to hire a liaison for the Male Success Initiative. So there's a lot of different groups on campus that we are liaisons to. So that means that we provide direct services to them, workshops for them, groups. And if there's students in those groups that need, mental health services, they can come directly to their liaison. And we collaborate also with the Health Center in Titanwell. So a lot of times, some of the medical providers, they identify a student that may need to be seen by a counselor, either in that moment as in a crisis, or they just help them set up an appointment to work with us. So I've had a couple of the providers I know. I've had Susan sometimes consult with me about a student and seeing if they can come see me or another provider. So we work pretty closely. I know I work with the registered dietitian as well, where I refer students to them so they can address some of the issues that are coming up in counseling. So we're housed in the same building. We share the same front office. So whether you're coming to CAPS or you're coming to the health center for the medical side, the front desk is the same one. So you would come to the same front desk for your appointments. And lastly, we have urgent or emergency services. So we have crisis intervention. So if you're ever on campus, actually right now, we're not on campus, but from 9 to 1, we have crisis intervention. So what you can do is you can call our CAPS number, which is 657-278-3040. It's the same as the 24-hour number you see there. But between 9 to 1, we do have somebody answering the phone at the front desk. And if you just happen to need to talk to a counselor, you're feeling in distress, you're feeling like you're feeling anxious, and you just want to talk to somebody, there's always one of our counselors that is they're ready to take your call between 9 and 1, and they can talk to you to teach you coping skills, to help you stabilize if you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed or stressed. And even if you, at the end of that call, if you determine that you actually want to come in or you actually want to set up an initial consultation or a follow-up appointment, you can also do that. Right now, we're not doing any walk-ins, but you can also, if we were on campus, you can also walk in from 8 to 5 and do a walk-in crisis triage. We call it a triage appointment. But right now, 9 to 1, you can go ahead and call. Now, after 1 o'clock, what happens with our phone number is that it transitions over to what we call our protocol number or our 24-hour number. So that means that you can continue to call our CAPS number 24/7 at any time of the night if you just feel like talking to a counselor, if you're feeling like it would help to just express your emotions to somebody and receive some feedback, receive some tips or coping skills to help you. That number, there's always somebody also there to answer that phone call. It goes to it goes to providers that run the protocol number, and then when we come back on shift the next morning, whoever is on triage or handling the crisis calls that morning at 8 a.m., they receive information about your call from the night before, and then if there's a need, we will follow up with you to see how we can further assist you. Okay, and then we also wanted to provide this National Suicide Prevention Hotline, so that number is right there. So if you ever, again, just need to talk to somebody, if you're having any thoughts of harming yourself, any suicidal ideation, that's a great number to call to just speak with somebody and get additional resources if you need them. And then we also like to remind our students that if the situation you're going through is very, very distressing, very dangerous, where you're really feeling like you may harm yourself, first thing you want to do is call 911 or go to the ER, have somebody take you to the ER, or if you can drive yourself safely, that's an option. Okay, next slide, please. So how do you access services? I already kind of went into it a little bit, but right now, all of our services are virtual. So we're doing all of our sessions through Zoom or Zoom audio if you don't want to do the video. So all of that's taking place through Zoom. But we're still able to offer, luckily, all the services that I mentioned right now. And again, reiterate, the crisis appointments are also via phone call, and can also take place via Zoom. So again, 921, if you find yourself in distress or in a crisis, that is still available to you. To make an appointment, you call, again, our front desk, 657-278-3040, and you can make an appointment for an initial consultation or counseling, for case management, or to speak to a psychiatrist to have a medication consultation about either your current medication, or if you're interested in looking into options for medication. You can call that number between 9 to 1 p.m. Monday through Friday to make an appointment for any of those services. We also have an Irvine campus, so the phone number and location of the office out over there is also on the screen here. To be honest, I don't know if Megan, you know this, but you may be able to just call our number here at Fullerton. And if you decide you want to meet with we have one counselor at the Irvine campus. So if you decide you want to meet with the Irvine counselor, I think you may be able to still call our front desk and let them know that you would like to meet with the counselor at Irvine. And then real briefly, I want to talk about some online resources. So this is something that just was went live this year. This year, it's called U at Fullerton. So the website is u.fullerton.edu, and it's a great resources. You log in with your student credentials, and it has a variety of resources on mental health, behavioral health. So it has videos and articles and just information on stress management. Especially right now, there's a lot of stuff about how to handle stress during the time of COVID-19, anxiety, relationship stuff. There's like short assessments to help you assess what might be your current needs. So it's a really wonderful resource. I would definitely invite you, if you have access to it already, to visit it and see all the resources that are on there. And then second, we have our website, fullerton.edu /caps or /caps. Right there, we have a list of off-campus resources as well. So low-cost counseling, which I mentioned earlier, and other resources and programs that we offer here at CAPS. Okay, and like I said, we're located in the same building as the medical side, so that Student Health Center. And then lastly, we wanted to provide you some useful apps for your phone. So here are some apps for mindfulness, cognitive behavioral therapy, relaxation, different breathing exercises. So these are some great apps that really help with relaxing and practicing self-care. Relaxed Melodies is one of my favorites. You can kind of pick a couple different sounds and layer them on top of each other. So if you like the ocean, you can put some wave, maybe some rain. You can even put birds and frogs, and you kind of create this atmosphere for you to kind of meditate or just relax. And one that's not on here is Daylio, Daylio. That one helps you keep track of your mood every day, or as often as you want to input your mood, you kind of rate yourself. And then you start seeing a chart of, and maybe see patterns of when your mood is a little bit better and when your mood tends to drop. So I use this a lot with my students. Again, it's not on here, but it's called Daylio, Daylio. Next slide, please. All right. And we're open to any questions. I'll see if you have any in the chat.
Yep, I'm gonna go refer to it now. Let's see. Trying to go down the list to see if I can have. There's one that says, do we collaborate or do you collaborate with the rec center to encourage preventative care?
I think that one came up during the medical presentation, but I know that we've been in communication with the rec center. We're actually thinking about collaborating on a big project with the rec center on maybe creating a space for students to come in and practice some self-care, do some mindfulness meditation. So I know that's in the works.
Mm-hmm.
Still in the beginning stages, but
Heighten Well does also. They do a lot of collaboration with the rec center.
Awesome, thank you. The next question is, do you have a procedure and protocol ready if a student has a crisis?
Yeah, yes, we do. So right now it's all virtual. You would just call into the CAPS number.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's if it's while we're open, then someone will, take down your information and somebody will give you a call back in a few minutes. Ordinarily, when we're open for on-campus services, you can just walk in, ask to see someone, you fill out a couple of forms, and then somebody comes and gets you within a few minutes usually.
Awesome.
And they can walk you through the rest of the process.
Gotcha. Thank you. Is all our student records integrated on campus so we can see the notes when we met with the previous academic counseling visits? And he's specifically asking my transfer student and human services major from there.
In terms of us, we don't have any access to any academic counseling meetings that you may have had. We keep track of our records for our CAPS visits, which again, we do follow HIPAA compliance, and that's something that nobody else has access to. Yeah, but in terms of other meetings on campus, we don't keep track of that, but we do work with students to if they need an appointment or they need help with communicating with an advisor. I've helped students email or make phone calls to the advisor if they have a lot of anxiety but they need registration. We do assist with that.
Yeah, and thank you for clarifying too. They're two separate things: academic counseling and when it comes to CAPS, so two different files. And then the next one would be, I guess another question part of that, how do I enter for the health and wellness center? Do you have any opportunities? I understand we're in a state where we're not on campus, but previously, how did that work out?
Usually it's not, we don't necessarily have an internship in the health center based on HIPAA and the confidentiality issues. You can come in as a student worker. We also have a student health advisory council you could join. So there are several ways, even if you come in as a peer health educator. Those are usually the ways that you can get some sort of exposure.
Awesome, thank you. And then one last question. I think you answered it before, but will there be virtual mental health counseling available during the fall?
Yes, we will be continuing to offer CAPS services through the fall, all virtual as well. Awesome. And I want to go back to the other question about TikTok and Snapchat. I think we don't have that, but we do have an Instagram for the Wellness Center that has a lot of information on there. So definitely look us up for the Student Health Center. We do have an Instagram for that.
Thank you. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and go to our Disability Support Services, Amanda.
Hi, I am here. I'm also having a little technical difficulty, so bear with me. And if you cannot hear me at any time or there's any issues there, please let me know. So as Vanessa had introduced me, I think earlier, my name is Amanda Pinedo. I am one of the disability management specialists within Disability Support Services. Here featured on this slide, we have a picture, an image of our front door, our office, which I'll talk about where we're located as we return to campus and things like that. Moving forward with our next slide. So a little bit about us. We are I think we're shifting slides. This is it. Okay, sorry about that. So the About Us, a little bit about us. We are a civil rights office. We provide accommodations and services really to remove the barriers and provide equal access for students here at Cal State Fullerton. This can include in the classroom, their course materials, any campus activities, any structures throughout campus, anywhere that presents a barrier in that way in our educational setting is where our office assists students in this way. Next slide, please. So in short, we really exist to do 4 things, or these are our 4 focuses. We want to change the way society views disability. For example, some examples would include modeling a social justice approach, really talking with the campus about changing our language and how important that can be, how we talk about and view disability. Another way that, another area that we exist is really to embrace disability as diversity. It is with everyone. At some point in our life, we will all face this or know someone with a disability. And so we work towards that message to help in supporting our students. We also advocate for our students to have the same experience as their peers, depending on what's going on, again, in the classroom or activities, field trips, anything like that. That is an area where we exist and help with day-to-day. And lastly, creating and promoting accessible and inclusive environments where they don't currently exist. Really changing that environment, those events on campus, those things from the start, and considering these barriers, these limitations in the forefront, as opposed to trying to be reactive or changing them later. Next slide, please. So our office is comprised of 4 teams, our entire office. The administration team, which oversees all of the operations of the DSS team in our front office. The accommodations team facilitates student accommodations such as exams and provides additional disability barrier support. We do have an accessible technology team for any documents in class, any textbooks, things like that. This team helps eliminate those barriers depending on what the student is experiencing and providing an accessible version of those textbooks or documents, for example, or exams. And then the disability management specialists. I am one of 4. We meet with students one-on-one to determine accommodations and access needs on a case-by-case basis. So I will talk about the flow in a little bit as to how to get connected and what to expect when students connect with us. But we are the ones that meet with students one-on-one after they apply and really talk about how we can support them. Next slide, please. So to get connected with our office, it really begins with our website. So I have an image here of our website landing page, the website link, and a little bit about our location. But it really begins in the top left corner. I have it circled and it says Get Connected, and it's right underneath our title. And that will actually begin navigating to the application that is strictly online. It is not paper-based, to begin the process in connecting with our office. I had mentioned in the first slide, I had an image of our front door. We are currently located in Gordon Hall 101, in the Gordon Hall building, first floor. We are across from academic advising and a neighboring wall with financial aid. And we can be reached here at these contacts, DSS services at fullerton.edu, or our phone number still is currently active at 657-278-3112. So we are still modeling that and of course supporting students, but we're just, again, not in person. Next slide, please. So the full flow of when a student first wants to connect, again, begins with our website. So I have that listed here first. And then the online application, it is called an online registration form. So after you click that Get Connected on our website, top left corner, it will take you to the steps to complete the application online. Again, it's the online registration form. It provides guidance on how you will need to submit documentation. This can be done with your application. This can be also done after the fact, so it is not required to have everything submitted at once. You can also wait even till you meet with a specialist, which is our next step here, to provide that documentation as well. So the application is really that first step and very important, but you will continue through connecting with us, and we'll need documentation at some point, at least through meeting with a specialist, but not required to continue moving through the process. After applying for services with our office, you will be contacted by our office. We are doing it, for example, in towards fall 2020. We're beginning to contact students later this month and throughout the summer. For documentation, being that we're virtual, this can be provided via email to us, to our office. It can still be faxed. We have it linked to an email. If we were on campus, that can be provided in person, so for the future. And that documentation and examples of that is also listed on our website to provide, what you may need. There's a variety of different types of documentation we accept. And we do have a form also on our website called a disability verification form that really gives an excellent guideline on what kind of information we need. It is not the only document you can submit or use, but it is a great guideline on what types of questions and information we will likely need to explore accommodations. So again, going online, submitting that online application, providing documentation through different ways, meeting with a specialist such as myself, and then from that point, during that meeting with your specialist, you will discuss possible accommodations, which I will talk about examples of those as we continue, but that will be the time to really discuss barriers that are existing in your educational setting, your classroom, what's going on to the best of your knowledge, and working together to see what type of support we can possibly provide. Next slide, please. So these are examples of accommodations that we have in our office, or support, different ways we support our students. Classroom accommodations, again, where the barrier lies, maybe with processing or different supports like with exams, needing more support, more time, depending on what's going on. We do provide priority registration for students who have applied with our office and have provided documentation and been approved. And we discussed that further in that welcome meeting with the specialist I mentioned. Accessible furniture, adaptive technology, or accessible materials, which is, I had mentioned, converting their textbooks or documents. Sometimes we reach out and support with students for advocacy, maybe accommodations that need to be explained, making sure that they are being provided. And assisting the student in teaching them how to advocate for themselves is really important. The disability-related counseling and advising I have at the top, that is more so, as you have heard here today, the Counseling Center really meets with students to support counseling in the respective of mental health. Our office is more so providing students with that information, again, on how to advocate for themselves, how to different options available to them. Maybe they're not doing well in their courses for barriers and disability related challenges that we know about, and we advise them in a way of maybe considering a withdrawal, maybe considering a WU, or different options that the campus has to try and still support them through information we have obtained from our office. And then lastly, we have a Counseling 252 class, different workshops, groups, and connect events. So the Counseling 252 class is a career and life planning class with a disability element to it. One of our specialists, one of 4 of us, she actually teaches it. And it is, as far as I understand currently, a GE accredited class. It will be taught in fall, to my understanding, but definitely let us know if you're interested and we can let you know more about that. Workshops, we do study skills workshops. They can be anything from organization and time management, note-taking, We've done self-advocacy before and are open to topics, so if anyone would like to share those with us. But we hold those in our office, and we're trying to actually get them into video form so they can be available virtually no matter if we're on campus or off. So that is in the works. Hopefully by fall, I'm actually managing those. Groups, we have one current discussion group where students can come. These are all, again, available for our students registered with their office and interested. This discussion group is really a place for our students to come and talk about disability-related things if they'd like to, or not. It's a space to connect and come, and it was requested from our students. So it's an open group in that if a student wants to come to one or all, they can. We usually hold about 6 to 7 sessions a semester, and we send that information out to all our students so they know of these options. And then the Connect events. We have been asked by students really to have a place, kind of like our Dirk Center, to come and be able to meet other students. We invite campus partners to come to these Connect events. There can be music and food, maybe a craft of some kind. We kind of mix it up. They're a little bit newer, but ways for students to come together and collaborate and feel peers. We have a peer mentor program that we have had for the past couple years that I'm not sure we're exploring continuing, but just different ways for students to feel connected. And then the last thing I didn't have listed here, but every fall we have tried to have something called Disability Awareness Day. And that's a day to celebrate disability. It's in October, traditionally around, I think, the 3rd week or 4th week. This year will look a little bit different, but it is a big event that we encourage everyone to come to. It's traditionally been held in the Humanities Quad, and we also, again, send this out to all our students so they know of it. On that first slide I had a heart, and it said, what do you think of, what do I have? I apologize. When you think of disability, what comes to mind? That heart is like a word cloud, and it's actually words from that event, Disability Awareness Day, of an expression wall, which is part of the event where students can come and write what disability means to them. So the event is really amazing. We have speakers and different activities, photo booths, what have you. And so anyhow, these are different things that we have in our office that we provide to students as ways to connect, and they've been highly requested. So next slide, please. So virtual services, this is something we added. I have it featured here on the slide with 2 orange buttons, also on our original landing page. The one I have circled is for students, but we also have one for faculty, basically resources where they can go for more information for a myriad of topics. I'll focus on the student support today. There's 4 categories. So on the right side, I have our landing page, but on the left, I have the actual 4 blue buttons. And so just touching on each one briefly, academic, mental health, stay at home, and exam accommodations. So these include anything from, academic is a bit lengthy, but anything from free and low cost assistive technology resources, note-taking support tools, screen reading software options that are available to CSUF students as a whole, speech to text like Google Voice, text to speech, reading software to help with textbook and document reading, writing and time management resources. So a myriad of things in the academic button that you can, students can go to, and I highly encourage. It's a newer resource set up for us to utilize while they're a student. Even before, some of these are free that you don't have to be a student for, but a lot of them are free to you while you're a student here that can really help towards your academics. The mental health button has a lot of resources like contact information, maybe mirroring some of CAP's information, just as a resource for our students to come as they're already maybe looking through our website. The stay at home is, I really like, it has a lot of activities for while you're in quarantine, different things that you can look up online, whether it be an activity, a resource, a craft, something to do. There could like community resources, different things that you can explore as we are at home. And exam accommodations, that is based on approval. So again, you meet with a specialist and you discuss accommodations, and they will need to be approved. And that exam accommodation button talks about a little bit more about when approved for extended time for exams, for example, and even software that is sometimes coincides with exam support called Kurzweil. and how to actually take advantage of that as a student. So I highly encourage you to review our website, especially this button and information. Next slide. So we also wanted to include some community resources. One of these is directly related to on campus at Cal State Fullerton, but kind of coincides with the rest being off campus. And they are ones we mention a lot. So it felt important to mention them here, but please, again, contact us if you want more information about these. Department of Rehabilitation, they work with individuals with disabilities, providing career-related services and advocacy that results in employment, results in getting a job. That's really their end goal. And Workability 4, or WAVE, is the on-campus component that we have a designated staff that meets with students to get connected with Department of Rehabilitation to help them. Some of the resources that Department of Rehabilitation can help with include, as long as you are a student in school, and the main requirement is to have a disability similar to our office, they can potentially help with tuition, books, different fees like health fees and things, school supplies, transportation, technology. These are all case by case as well. But with Department of Rehabilitation, you can meet with one of their quote counselors off campus and explore these resources. And then Workability 4 is on campus that works very closely with Department of Rehabilitation and helps you with additional things like career counseling, resume writing, mock interviewing, things of that nature, internship placement on campus. We have, again, a designated staff that she helps with all of that. And she traditionally meets with only juniors and seniors as they are closer to graduation. So these are, that is the first bullet point and how that works. Learning disability assessments and therapy referrals. So we get a lot of questions about, in the respective learning disabilities, that I want to be assessed. I want to be tested to see if I have one or update my documentation. And so we have a list that we provide students that want to explore that. And then on that list also are some therapy referrals off campus, connections we've made that maybe have a sliding scale or different supports that maybe they are looking for through insurance or whatnot that we include as well. The last three, Goodwill of Orange County, the Fitness and Technology Center, Braille Institute, and Dale McIntosh. So these three are really independent living, predominantly support services, community resources that provide help with anything from orientation to mobility for those who are blind and visually impaired, to there's an actual fitness center, to providing them technology, loaning devices throughout their whole academic career at no cost. So there's a lot of excellent free resources that we utilize a lot, especially with, I think in the last year, we had a lot of construction, forgive me, maybe 2 years now. A lot of our blind and visually impaired individuals had to use that orientation and mobility free resource to reorient the campus. And so these are some examples of resources that we use quite a bit. Next slide, please. So our last slide is our contact information and location again. We do also have an Instagram, CSUF_DSS, that we encourage anyone and everyone to follow. We post a lot of pertinent content, including those groups that I talked about, those different options. We post them all there. The DS services email is our main email. And we do have an outreach email as well. Again, while we are virtual, we aren't doing a lot of outreach because we aren't in person, but we are right now working a lot with orientation and different options, as these are the bulk of the summer programs. But again, feel free to contact us at this information listed here. And we would be more than happy to explore support virtually. So any questions?
Yes, I'm gonna try to get one in. And I think you actually answered it. Does DSS have outreach?
Yes, we are still doing it. Not all of the items I listed are, not all of the outreach opportunities are still happening, but definitely if you heard something that was interesting or you'd like to get more of an updated list of what we're doing, please feel free to contact us. I wanted to address that first question if we had time to.
This one?
The original one right before we started?
If a student applied for DSPS, what would the student hear back from a representative?
Oh, that is actually a new one. If applying, let's say, for example, this week or even today, we are working on, I'd say about a week or so, pretty quickly trying to get back to you, depending on if you're attending summer or if you're attending fall. We will be responding to you either very quickly for summer or a little bit later this month to prepare for an appointment to meet with a specialist to discuss fall support.
Awesome. And we'll do one more very quickly. How would priority registration be to put in use if we meet the DSS specialist after registering for classes for upcoming semester?
So traditionally, students can connect with us at any time, even during finals. So depending on how that falls, oftentimes priority registration does not take effect for a newly connected student until their next semester. So if I meet with them in fall, and that often occurs where they've already registered, it would apply towards spring and then stay with them, which I didn't mention, through graduation. Awesome. So that's really important too. That is on a permanent basis of exploring a disability. If there's any kind of temporary disability support, we definitely provide support, but some of the accommodations and priority registration may not continue through graduation as there may be a temporary basis, but it's really case by case. So I encourage anyone and everyone to reach out.
Awesome. So I'm going to go to the last slide, and this last slide just provides, if students want to take a screenshot or a picture with their phone, it just gives you some ways to connect with them, the different departments, but this video is actually also going to be recorded and put on our welcome day page and the webinars tab, so you can go there for reference as well. So again, thank you, Suzanne, Megan, Alex, and Amanda for thoroughly explaining all your services, especially virtually when we do really need it. And also thank you to the outreach team for answering the Q&A questions. Again, please tune in for next week for the library IT services that's presented through the CSUF library staff. That is June 12th at 11. And please follow us on this page on the bottom. It's at CSUF Outreach. That is on social media if you have any questions, or you can email us at csufor@fullerton.edu. As a reminder, after this webinar, there's a survey at the end, and we really appreciate your feedback, and it's really important to us. Does anyone have any last words to say? No? You guys are good? Awesome. So thank you for tuning in. Again, this will be available on a webinar, on our website next week. So thank you again. Have a good day. Bye.